Hi, I'm Bob Nelson, Associate Pastor of Compass Church.
Wow.
I'm Morey. I go to Compass.
I have a compass. I'm Pastor Johnny Leckie, and this is the Compass Conversation Podcast with just three of us. Tres amigos. Welcome.
We miss you, Tracy.
We do miss
Tracy.
Fade to black. You can do it.
Wait, I'm going to be useful.
We will follow you. You have the name above every name. We will follow you, King Jesus. The medium swig. Well, all right.
Got to be useful.
You're having some trouble with the line. All right, so it's good to see you guys tonight. Welcome to the podcast. It is just a conversation, as usual. No script. We don't need no stinking scripts. We're just going to talk. We're just going to talk for a few minutes. And our friend Tracy is not here tonight.
We're sad about that.
We're sad. We gave a little heads up last week, though.
Yes, we did.
But happy where he's at.
Very happy.
He's
Visiting his son.
Yeah, visiting his son, daughter-in-law, and granddaughter. That's always fun.
Awesome.
I can attest.
Yes.
It's always fun. It's always fun to see the fam. Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's go around the room here. We'll take a song. Boom, boom, boom. So over here, Bob, how are you doing? Bob Nelson.
I'm finally done with the 10-hour shift things, so I had a couple hours to work more on the computer after work. And so it was a good day. Things moved smoothly. Didn't have the last Mondays that I've had, so that was good. It'd be nice if I could get some sleep. That'd be okay. But yeah, other than that, doing really good. I was very annoyed by computers. Yesterday, actually. It was a couple days ago. Thursday, I did a whole video editing thing for Joy, and when I went to, finalize everything on Saturday, it just had totally wiped off the face.
Oh no!
And I'm like, and I saved it. I'm sure I saved it. So, the Black Magic Design, who does not sponsor us,
but if you'd like to, it's Johnny at CompassTimber.com.
It's true. They've got great equipment, so we love them. But somehow they robbed me a good 4 hours of work on Thursday. So but unfortunately, doing the edit the second time took a whole lot less time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So had to work on the second video, and that's what I did. Was doing between work and here.
Mm-hmm. So is that a YouTube video?
Yeah, Joy does this crafting stuff. Stamp with Joy on YouTube. There's also somebody from England that doesn't do her thing. But uses the same moniker. So watch that you're looking for the one that's not English.
Stamp with Joy.
Yes.
All right. There you go.
Yeah. You need to send that to Julie because she loves stamping.
Oh, gotcha.
So we've got tons of stuff.
Yep. Yeah. And Annette does the same thing with the same company that Joy does. So yeah. So they had a really neat connection that way.
That is true.
They've done some stuff.
Oh, you didn't know that? Mm-hmm. It was good to see Annette, by the way.
I kind of have been hanging out with you guys a little more than our wives. Well, I hang out with my wife.
Oh, maybe that.
But yeah.
All right, man. I know you're a little weary. You got stuff you got to do tonight. Make this thing. We're gonna get into this.
It's totally gonna make you happy, man.
Gonna get into it and get it going.
I'm waiting for my phone to go off. I'm timing us. I'm being useful in multiple ways. But
yeah, Tracy's phone not dinging. Ding.
I know.
He ought to call us in the middle of our recording.
That would be pretty cool.
Ding! Why, it's Tracy. Hello.
We could have got him to join.
Yeah, we should have. Yeah, we should have done that.
We should have.
Yeah, well. Morey White.
Yes.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. It was a pretty decent Monday. I was contacted by a guy today who I meet with 3 times a week. Needs assistance at work. So, that's what we've agreed to is 3 times a week. Although it's not 3 times a week, it's more. But so he sent me an email telling me he's not going to meet with me today, yet called me and we met. And now he wants to do breakfast tomorrow. So
All right.
it was a little weirdness around that, which is, it's nice to be needed.
It is nice.
And I love helping, so
Yeah,
it's a good thing. So, yeah, it was a good day. Got to talk to all my partners. I love those guys. They're awesome. Guys and girls. So, they're awesome people. So, yeah, it was good.
Very cool.
And Mr. Johnny, how was your first day of your last week of school for the summer, before the summer?
The first day of your last, well, okay, well anyhow, last Monday of the school year for me, for kids anyway. Yeah, so the only weird thing today is I had a kid pee in the corner. But
Puking last week, peeing this week.
Funny, I had that happen too. Oh, that was me. No, sorry.
obviously I can't go into the details of that situation, but it was a lot of, it wasn't just a random thing, it was a, some of the kids we work with, they have some issues, is what I want to say. And believe it or not, even that kind of thing can be an attention-grabbing kind of thing. But anywho, needless to say, our attention was gained.
Well, it worked. Now we know what to do.
Hey,
Now we learned something.
if you want my attention, one way to do that.
We can either IM you or pee in a corner.
Yeah, there you go. Now, truthfully, I wasn't even the one that had to do much dealing with that situation. It was mostly Heather, the teacher I worked with, but
That's funny.
it's not good grief. Here we are, last few days of school. It's like, okay. But then after getting home today, I mean, I've had a lot of energy today. It's been a good day. Moving along, making things happen. The voice is a little bit dry, parched out, but I fell asleep for about 15 minutes in the chair, woke up at about 6 minutes to 6, hopped in the car, and here I am. It's the weirdest dream I've ever had.
Right. This is an odd dream.
But at least I didn't fall asleep for like an hour or something. I just kind of nodded off, one of those kind of, oh. Well, I mean, I set an alarm just to be safe because I thought I might be getting drowsy, but wow. But anyway, doing pretty good.
Our new dog won't let me take naps.
Ah.
He's big enough that he's as tall as the bed, so it's very easy for him to jump over.
Oh.
Though we're training him to stay off of it. But
I got you.
And he uses that nap time as test time, huh?
Oh.
Notice me this time.
I was going to say something else. I lost my train of thought. I'll probably have trouble getting my brain to work. I did, however, Sunday night, mowed my backyard. This is the first time this whole season.
there you go. There you go.
There's a jungle back there.
So it was quite frightening, yes. But I got to tell you, the whole time, because it was 6:30, and so it's still sunny out, and it's still cool. There was that breeze blowing. So even though it was a little bit tougher to mow as that first time, tons of dandelions and stuff going, getting chopped and mowed over, I still was thinking, God, thank you that I can mow this yard and it's not 110 outside like it was in Texas when I was mowing the yard.
2 in the morning.
I can identify with
Yeah.
I can identify with that. That's
So anyway, so maybe I think I may have some little allergy stuff from all that. I actually was mowing and I put a mask on. It wasn't like an allergy mask. I just grabbed one of the bags. Like,
did it help?
better than nothing. I think it helps some.
Huh?
Yeah,
Makes
try
sense.
that to help some. Anyway, it's keeping my germs from flying out. Surely it'll help the ones trying to get me on the inside. Magic mask.
Magic.
Magic mask.
So you were mentioning of dreams. Joy brought up dreams yesterday. I don't remember why we were talking about it. We were talking, and she's like, I haven't had a floating dream in a long time or something. It's something on TV that kind of sparked the conversation. And so she looked up what the meaning of dreams were. And I'm like, I wonder what the meaning of a podcast is. But what's the meaning of a floating dream? And it's like, well, it could mean that, you're in a new adventure, or it could mean you're about to die. And it's like 15 different meanings. And it's like, yeah, because you're all making this stuff up.
Right.
When I was a kid, I had this dream. It was I still remember this dream because I was on the moon. We were talking about the moon earlier. I was on the moon, and at one point, I kind of lost my balance on the moon. Whoop, 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 and I fell off the moon
Oh, no.
and fell to earth. And as I'm falling, I'm like, I hope I land on something soft. and then as I land, I'm like, everything. I landed in my bed and I woke up. I was like,
That's funny.
that was a weird dream.
That's a weird dream.
Never forgotten that.
That is kind of interesting.
I don't know what it means.
You fell off the moon.
It's like, what was I doing there? How did I get there?
Right.
What were we doing?
We were just hanging out on the moon, you know.
Oh, my soul. All right, well, enough of this chit-chat,
All right.
this yammering. Let's talk about yesterday.
Yesterday.
So I want to apologize for the lack of sound at the beginning, but I figured it out.
We found the button.
We did find a few things.
Yeah, because it was on number 2
Yeah,
yesterday.
but
Is that what it was? Yeah, because we had, like, Chris was like, no sound, can't hear anything, no sound. And then Melissa was like, oh, there's no sound. And she was out front.
The vault is off
yep.
for the cameras. That's the default, because most
Oh,
of
I
the
see.
time, you're not going to use the sound from the camera.
Makes sense.
It
Yeah.
uses some kind of a room mic. However,
Fortunately,
comma,
yeah. Tracy told me about making sure it was on,
a button.
so I figured it out really quick, and we had sound.
Yes.
Let's see, what would Tracy say right now? We don't know.
Guys,
I mean, where would he be?
where would he?
Our setup is so weird, I can't even make an imaginary
this is
Tracy
odd.
appear.
Usually he's on this side.
Tracy. Okay.
You should draw a picture.
Oh, man.
But yeah,
But anyway, a little bit more. I was happy to see that there was a pretty good group of people there. For some reason, I was thinking we were going to be lower in attendance. I don't know why, as I wasn't sure actually if Tracy's whole family was going to town. But for some reason, I was just thinking we were going to be missing some people, and we were missing some people. And Michael was still dealing with his second COVID shot,
right.
and he did have some issues. He had fever and things. He's better now, but yeah, it was cool to look out and say, oh, we got a good group of people here today.
I thought it was great that Josh volunteered. Thank you, Josh.
Poor Josh.
Josh.
Hey, whenever something like that happens, it just means whoever's name is being chanted by the crowd, that they love you very much.
That's right.
You did a good job. That was fun. I pulled out the base camp cards. Were you in there? You were in there.
Yeah, I'm curious what the first card was that was too serious.
It had something about. It had something to do with something before you die, or it was something like that. It just kind of hit the wrong note.
Back to the cloud before I die.
Now I went through each. I went through each one of these, and I saw okay, there's only about 2 or 3 that don't really work, and that was one of them. It just happened to be the first one he chose. I should have just pulled it out of the deck. But yeah, Base Camp Card Company is what that is. Not a sponsor of the show, but if you'd like to be, it's Johnny at comestore.com. But anyhow, yeah, it was just kind of a fun twist on things to pull out the cards and.
Talking about before you die, little Donnie was at school.
Little Donnie.
Little Donnie. That's what we're going to call him. Because it rhymes with Johnny.
Oh, there's a little story you were about to tell. Okay.
Little Donnie was
I didn't know what was happening.
was at school, and that his assignment was to mention something that somebody that important to them had said that inspired them. And little Donnie said, "Teach," because that's how he talked to the teacher. Said, yeah, it's kind of odd. Said, "Can I tell about my grandfather, what he said to me before he kicked the bucket?" And the teacher's like, "Yes, little Donnie, that's a sad thing. Why don't you tell us?" He said, "Hey, Donnie, look how far I can kick this bucket."
Hey!
I
Tracy,
heard that, I thought it
rim
was
shot.
funny.
Boom, boom.
All right, that's my joke for today.
All right.
Bob laughed.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
I think you told me that joke actually a week or 2 ago.
I think I did. But it's
Otherwise,
funny.
I'd be laughing louder. How do you laugh harder?
I repeat myself.
Louder and harder, or very fat.
Laughing in a
One of the
fat way.
two.
Like Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Oh.
Problem is, I can't even remember what jokes I've heard or told.
All right, well, this is interesting. We're way off track from our, we barely started this conversation. Okay, let's talk some more about yesterday. So, yeah, we were kind of in the round. We tried to set it up in the round. I liked that vibe of that. I think we can make adjustments and even do that a little bit better. But I did like the feel of that for base camp, sitting in the round.
It was neat.
It was
Neat.
And we got to talk on my absolute favorite subject. You know that. That's my favorite subject.
Love, exciting and new.
Wait, you did that yesterday too. I do remember that.
Yes, love. Now we're now moving away from the connection breakers and now begin to talk about connection builders. And yeah, it's kind of a tough one going in. I may have spent a little too much time on some of that, but yeah, love.
It sparked some really good conversation. Julie and I had some conversation about, some what ifs kind of situations. People that are living in a sinful manner and showing love towards them. But you can't celebrate that action, but we rejoice in truth.
Yeah.
Whenever somebody, and that's what you talked about, was love doesn't rejoice in wrong doings, but rejoices in the truth.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of those what if conversations, and there are a lot of situations in life, and we're all sinners. We're all sinners, and it's wonderful. There's a lot of grace in the room. You said that yesterday. But that it's somebody who continually, and how to deal with that type of situation, and how you continue to love a person.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But you can't celebrate their actions whenever you know that they're wrong.
Yep. And there's so much wrapped up in that. And the thing is, I was in my notes. I had just a very short thing that because I felt like I needed to just at least say what Scripture says about sexual matters. And I think I spent a little too longer there than I intended to, because it's not everything that's wrapped up in that verse. I just wanted to convey the idea that sometimes we think that love. One thing we do need to know is that love covers. We talk a little bit more about that this Sunday, actually. But it covers a multitude of sins. But it doesn't mean that love ignores sin.
Right.
Sorry. So pure, God's kind of love acknowledges that there is a problem of sin.
Yeah.
And that His love is the solution to that problem, right?
Absolutely.
I know that John 3:16 tells us something about how God dealt with the sin problem. Let's just go ahead and jump into that now, Morey.
John 3:16, God so loved the world. You got to understand this big love we're talking about. And can I do my illustration?
Please.
So, God so loved the world so much that He gave His only Son. Now, that was the ultimate sacrifice that Johnny's referring to right there. That whoever believes in Him will not perish but have eternal life with God and Jesus. That's the end goal for God, for us. That's what He wants for us. Now, when we're talking about love and the purity of that love, I have to kind of simplify things. And I already told these guys about it, but I'd love to share it if it's all right. Love, I have to kind of dumb things down for me to understand. God's love is like the sun in the way that it produces light. It is bright, and when it hits the earth, it just lights it all up, and everything is wonderful because you can see everything. We are kind of like, our job is to, because God shines His love on us, our job is to reflect that love. And we're kind of like the moon. We're a little dusty and dirty. We're not made of mirrors, so we'll never be as bright as the sun. But even in darkness, we can be a light to the world because we reflect God's love. We will never be God
Right.
And that needs to be understood. Like the moon will never be the sun, but we are to reflect that light.
Love that illustration.
Spot on.
I needed it
Yeah, well,
for me to understand.
I mean, that's the thing. Leona was having a conversation with someone today about, they were just talking about why they don't go to church anymore. And the reason was what we usually hear. All those hypocrites, you know. Apparently this person had somebody do something horrible to them in the context of a church situation. And they just have a bad vibe about that. But she was able to kind of redirect and say that we already acknowledge that all of us are flawed and imperfect in our church, and we're not perfect either. She was able to invite this person too, and they were very interested in possibly checking that out, which is a big deal for this person. But anyway, it just reminded me, like even on Sunday, sharing truth is not an unloving thing, it's a loving thing. Even though I know that there are a couple of moments where even our whole congregation, because we're all guilty, we're all guilty in one way or another of what I was just talking about, myself included. Yeah, it got really quiet. It's like, don't react, don't move. People around me can tell, they're like, if I don't move, he won't know that I may be guilty of this one thing you're talking about. But the thing is, I'm saying those things out of love. It's like when my youngest son was really little, he had a tendency to just kind of go, pshaw, he'd run this way, that way. We took a trip to the Grand Canyon. We thought he was going to go in. And, he's just that kind of, a little ADHD going on. And so I would, tell him to not run into the road, even though there was a time where he got out of the house quickly, was running, and I found out that this was happening as Leona was saying, Michael, and I heard, the screech of tires, and a car had just stopped because he had run into the road. He was very young at that point. But the thing is, telling him that he can't do, this thing was a loving thing to tell him. It wasn't a prohibitive thing. We didn't want him to die.
Exactly.
Right? So, but we're not trying to rob his joy or judge him or any of that. We're sharing that truth with him because life will be better if you don't run rampantly into the street, right? So it's the same thing with some of these other, the sinfulness that we have. It's unloving to not address the sin in our life, because it's the sin in our life that's killing us, it's strangling us, it's a separator, right? It breaks all of our relationships. So it's like on one level, it's like, I kind of hate to say this because I know these kinds of things can be sensitive to everybody in the room, and I want them to understand, hey, this is not judging you. This is what the truth is, and God's love has a solution for this issue, right? So that's the idea.
It's hard to live a passionate life in Christ if you are falling off in other ways. Yeah. A friend of mine, with Romans 3:23, the wages of sin is death.
That's correct, yes. Wait,
6:23. I always get those two confused. Anyway, he points out that when you sin, you are killing something. It's not necessarily the death of you at that moment, but it will be the death of a relationship, the death of some inner, sense of well-being or something, and it's definitely cuts into your relationship with God. And so it's really hard to have that life and if you have all that death.
I mean, because God is life. He's the source of life, and sin. There's no death until sin came around, right? Yep. Sin is the death causer in one way or another. So, in the same way, you could say that in essence, sin could be defined as missing the mark. It just doesn't. But the mark is God's goal and God's holiness and His goodness. It's the essence of not living in His light. It's in His way. So,
but as we just mentioned, John 3:16, God loved the world and all of it, including knowing what dirty, filthy people we are. Dusty like the moon. You know,
All
really
you
are.
dusty people.
And God also understands, and you will see this in Scripture, and that sin is not your identity.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
We are children of God.
Yeah.
And simply because we take an action does not change that fact. Now, if we continue down that path of an action, it will separate us. It will take us away from God. But an action doesn't create your identity.
Yeah. Not your identity for sure.
Right.
I know that in some ways you could even look at it as we were, in the Garden of Eden, created human
Yes.
in a state of being that was sinless, but when sin entered in and brought the curse on even the very ground, it affects everything.
It does.
We became actually less human.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we're not subhumans, but God brings us back and makes us truly, fully human in the best of ways. It's got really serious and deep fast.
It did.
We went from whatever your joke was.
A dumb joke.
Bring Donnie back.
About poor little Donnie.
Little Donnie.
And now we're into
Look how far I kicked this bucket.
kind of heavy theology types of comments.
But at the same time, that's exactly what we do as humans. We go, God, look how far I can kick that bucket. In a very literal sense.
Have either one of you guys seen It's a Mad, 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 Mad World?
Oh yeah.
Okay. It's one of my favorites of all time because there's this great scene as Jimmy Durante, right? His car goes flying off and it crashes. This is how the movie starts. And these drivers all stop. They all go down to check on him. And he's lying there and he does this whole Jimmy Durante kind of way of talking. But when he dies, this wasn't really a spoiler because this is where the whole movie starts. And when he finally dies, he's like that, and he stiffens up and he kicks a bucket that goes and they just watch it go rolling down. And then the guy goes, "That guy's dead. You better believe it." And it was like, it's just a great sight.
That's hysterical. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. We saw that in the theater a few years ago, which was pretty cool.
Is that the one with where they're all trying to get across country?
Yep. Trying to get somewhere to make a bunch of money or something.
Yeah. This guy at the beginning. The guy who dies, he tells him about this money that's stashed. It was money that was stolen. Right. And it's under a big W. Anyway, so don't want to get off on that. I'll talk too much about it. Start doing lines. But anyhow, I have to get off on this. What's happened here?
Kick the bucket.
Done.
Kick the bucket.
It was done.
We were talking about death.
Yeah.
That's what I was
It was about death.
talking about death. Well, I was going to say, well, it's just, I mentioned this, that sometimes, because all of these principles of love that we're talking about, and I mentioned this on Sunday, but just to be clear about it, it's like, yes, if you take some of these principles and you're not even a Christian, and let's say you're living in a relationship that is not honoring to God, and I spelled out what an honoring to God, at least in a sexual relationship, looks like. Anything outside of that isn't, because I didn't want to go through all of the various ways. I just figured I'd say, this is what this is. Anything outside of that, you fill in the blank. Thought that was simpler. Anyhow, well, let's say you're in those situation that is not God honoring, but you are kind, and then you apply some of the facets of love. They'll sort of work, but they won't work fully and completely because it's still in the context of the wrong foundation, right? So I was just trying to say, real love does not rejoice in unrighteousness. But it rejoices in the truth, as you're saying. So this is sort of a little, it's like Paul in 1 Corinthians 13 there is sort of giving a little reminder nod that this is, this isn't flowery poetry I'm giving you. It's a reminder that it's still about God's love, and God is holy, and He is good, and none of this is going to work unless you allow His love to flood your heart and life.
So, unless you're reflecting it.
And reflecting it like the moon.
Well, it really overflows. I mean, the
But don't
analogy
moon
does
people.
fall apart a little bit,
Whatever you do, don't move.
but it overflows.
Well, and
I lost my mind. What the heck about it?
So, I want to talk about the Samaritan woman, but we're kind of out of time. The
Samaritan woman,
she's
yeah.
really a perfect example of that. If the entire
Yes.
picture, she is worshing the wrong thing. Being a
This is the
Samaritan.
woman at the well.
The woman at the
You're
well.
talking
Yeah.
Jesus encounters.
Encounters Jesus. He's the first person that he reveals his Messiah, that he's the Messiah to a woman who's not even a Jew, which is really amazing in a lot of ways. That's another story.
Yes.
Anyway, but he's like, okay, let me go tell my. If she's like, okay, let me go tell my husband about you, and he's like, he's not your husband.
No.
You've been married a bunch of times, but he's not your husband. And so she's living in this relationship, and all she sees is his grace. And through that, she knows she's wrong in where she's at, but she sees the grace and the love, and she goes and tells everybody about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's here's come meet the man who's told me everything I ever did.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
Yeah.
No, he's not your husband. And that's what there's so much wrapped up in that story. One of my favorite parts of that story is that the fact that the disciples who'd gone into town, they had to have seen the woman and passed her on the road.
Yeah.
And they're kind of amazed and shocked when Jesus is talking to her when they get back. But anyway, yeah.
Because the Jews didn't talk to.
Yeah, the Samaritans, sure.
The reason why I brought that up is because he said he was the living water, and that if she drank from him, she'd never go be thirsty again.
Right.
And that's the sort of thing that we get when we enter a relationship with Jesus and with God.
Yep.
Yep, exactly.
And then we overflow.
Yes.
Kind of like we're
Land in that copter.
Oh boy. Well, yeah. But yeah, I think we're near the end here. So, but I was just gonna say, our church, we are flawed people, as we said. There's nobody perfect there. We all understand that, and the more you understand that you're also a flawed and forgiven person, the more grace you extend to those around you. Love isn't a judgmental thing. It is, as I said, the solution to the issue of sin. So, anyway, we're falling forward. We're not perfect. We're going to keep working at it. Right? All right, guys. Well, is there anything you guys want to share before we wrap up tonight, before we go into our final
See if I
words?
can remember another joke.
Okay.
No.
This Sunday, we're going to be online and at my house.
Yep.
And so whoever we can fit at our house this Memorial Day weekend, and those who are there, we're going to have some burgers or brats or something. We'll talk about that. It's going to be fun.
And Tracy and I will be in New Mexico watching from there.
Good.
Probably the whole family will be watching from there.
Awesome.
So you can have a bunch of people online.
Fantastic. All right, so
That'll be good.
I have to spend some more time on my
So
message.
you need to really work that thing out because
Don't embarrass us, John. I hear you.
Oh, come on, John.
Do the best I can. All right. Well, I think that's all that we have for tonight. So let's jump into our final words. Wait, I'm confused. Who would go first?
Tracy would be first.
Tracy would be first.
Tracy would say,
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
love you.
Love you guys.
Likewise.
Peace.
There it is. It's like we're trying to remember our lines from the script
Line.
we don't have. Grace and peace to you. Wait, what am I doing? You can join us every Sunday at 10 a.m. and you can find us on Facebook at Compass Church Colorado, and you can discover more at compassdenver.com. And we'd love to have you as our guest online or in person this Sunday at 10 a.m. All right, you said your final words,
Yes.
which was likewise, and you said something about peace. Grace and peace to you. That's all we have for tonight, and we are out.
Fade to black.
Fade to black.